Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you guys how you can calculate your running total, how can you calculate your running average, your first value, last value, and all about the window functions in SQL, right? Alright, so I'm going to use the same table like we discussed in the previous video, dim sales reason from the AdventureWorks database. So 4 columns I have: sales reason key, sales reason type, sales reason name, and then sales amount, right? So first let's get it started with the first value. It's really important to understand the first value and last value because we're going to be using the window functions. It's really important to understand those window functions before you jump into your running total, right? So I'll show you guys one by one. First value, super straightforward. I have a quick sample here. So these are the 4 columns you have in your data set, right? The output is going to look like this. So you want to apply the first value on your sales reason name column, and what's going to happen is it's going to take the first value and then it's going to populate it all the way across your table, right? It's straightforward. Let's go ahead and see how we can get it done. So I'm going to add a new column, right? And then you see here first value, right? All that it is needing is your column name, right? So I'm just going to put sales reason name as my column name, right? I'm going to activate my window function by using over clause, and then just simply say order by my sales reason key as first value. I'm just going to put an alias name saying like first value. It's okay. Alright, so straightforward results. It's going to take this column, take the first value price, put it all the way across. That's your first value, right? Again, you can partition this, like let's say for example your sales reason type has 3 partitions. I'll show you. It's a little bit messed up right now. It's not ordered, so I'll show you by ordering it. So if you see here, your sales reason type has marketing, other, and promotion. Let's see if you wanted to calculate your first value based on these partitions. So treat this partition as separately, like we discussed in the previous video. Take this partition, get me the first value of your sales reason name, which is magazine advertisement. So put magazine advertisement all the way until the last last row of your partition, and then go to the next partition, take the first value in that partition and then put it all the way across, likewise, right? So how do I do that? Just say partition by clause before your order by clause, and then say your sales reason type. Alright, so I'm going to show you right now, right? Very straightforward result again. So it's going to take this partition. What is the first value? Magazine advertisement. So put magazine advertisement all the way across only for that partition, and then go to the next partition, other. What is the first value? Price. Take that price, put it across all the way across within that partition, right? And then go to the next one like that, right? So that's basically your first value. Next one, I'm going to show you guys the last value. So I'm going to remove this and then say last value, right? Say last value of my sales reason name, right? And again activate my window function, order by sales reason name. Very similar syntax, right? But I'll show you there is a trick here. So if I just say like this, right, if you just say last value like this, so you see last value of my sales reason name, which is this one, and then apply the over clause, apply the order by sales reason key. I'll show you. I'm going to take this order clause away, just going to comment it out. I'm going to show you right now. Your last value should basically be like this, right? So it's going to take this sales reason name, and what is the last row of this column of this, just other. So it's going to put other, that whichever value we have here, it's going to put it all the way across in this as a new column, right? But in our case, what we saw here, it is not working. It's just putting the same same column, same row next to it, right? So it doesn't make any sense. Why is that, right? This is where window functions comes into play. So when you talk about your last value for the current row context, whenever the current row is getting executed, it doesn't know what is my next row, right? So for that, from that perspective, it is just putting, okay, so this is my current row, but I don't know what is my next row, so I'm just putting this as my last row as well, right? And then go to the second row. At that point, it still doesn't know what is my next row, so it's again putting the same as my as my last value. That's exactly the problem. So how do you overcome that? That is where the window functions comes into play. So what if I say like this: rows between unbounded preceding and unbounded following, right? What does it mean first? But before that, I'm going to show you the result, see if it's going to work, and I'm going to I'll explain you one by one. So now see if it works. It works, right? So it takes the last row, spreads it all the way across in your new column, which is last value, right? Fair enough. So now let's try to understand what's happening here. So before, why it didn't work is because it doesn't know what is the last value, because it's only looking into the current context. It doesn't know, it cannot see after this first row, right? It cannot, when it goes to second row, it cannot see anything further. It only sees the current row, and that's it. That's why it's returning the same row if you don't have your all these code written here, right? So when you write this code, there is two things you could have seen. There is preceding and there is following. These are the important pieces. What this means is, let's say for example, if you take your fifth row, right, that's your current row. According to the execution, that is your current row. When you say preceding, whichever is behind this fifth row, whichever is above, right, whichever is above or behind, whatever you want to call it, whichever is behind this fifth row, that is your preceding, right? And then whichever is after your fifth row is your following, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows will be your following rows. 4, 3, 2, 1 rows will be your preceding rows, right? When I say unbounded preceding, there is no boundary at all. All these rows will be added in your context, right? And then when I say unbounded following, it's going to take all these rows and put them into your context, right? So I can even just say I can just put here, doesn't matter what I put here, because preceding, since I'm only taking the last value, the preceding doesn't matter at all. If I say one preceding, which is basically, if I go here, there's only one row preceding it. So if my execution is at row number 2, since I put one preceding, price is my preceding, and unbounded following, everything else is following. If I go to my third row, one preceding, so only the second row is going to be into the context, and then everything else after the third row will also be in the context because it's unbounded following, right? So if you run this again, it's going to take since it's unbounded, it's going to go all the way to the bottom, take the last value which is other, and it's going to put it across. There's going to be no change in the results. I can show you. You see, you can put whatever here, it doesn't you can put whatever here, it doesn't matter at all. It's always going to be the same, right? However, you know what, let's again put it back to unbounded preceding, right? Let's say if you put 2 following, right? Now see the magic, what's going to happen. So when I say unbounded preceding, again, like there is no limit above the current row. Let's say 4 is your current row, right? Just let's assume that. Unbounded preceding, there is no boundary for your preceding, so everything else is in your context above your row 4, and then only 2 following, right? Only the row 5 and 6 is going to be in the context. So the row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will all be in the context, right? Because my current row is number 4, 2 following, which is 5 and 6, and then there is no boundary before the row number 4, that's preceding, right? So unbounded preceding, so it's going to have all these 6 rows, right, into your context. So now what's going to happen, let's see. See here, this is a little bit similar to your lead result, the lead values output, right? So what's happening here is basically it's going to go to the first row, right? Price, what is my preceding unbounded? It doesn't matter because there is no other rows before this. And then there is 2 following. So on promotion and magazine. So these 2 are the rows following. What is the last value? in that final final execution. So since it's two following, this is what it has scope. So magazine advertisement becomes your last value in the scope. So that's what's been displayed here. And then it goes to the next row, right? On promotion, unbounded preceding doesn't matter at all again, and then we have two following, magazine and television advertisement, right? So television advertisement becomes your last row for this current instance. So television advertisement becomes your output value for that current row, right? So it goes all the way, which one, and then it goes to row number 7. What happens here is sponsorship and quality will be following. So quality becomes your output, it goes to sponsorship, other becomes your output, and it goes to quality. At this point, though it is two following, it only has one row at hand, right? Only other row is here, so other becomes your output, and again for other there is nothing else that's following. So again it's going to default the same output into your last value column, right? So that's what we have for your last value. Now I'm going to show you guys how you can do your running total, right? Now that you have understood your window functions, how you can restrict your calculations by your given specific frames of your data set. Now I'm going to show you how you can use this record frames or your window functions, right, however you want to call it, to compute your running total, right? Alright, so before that I want to show you guys, if you haven't done running total, I'm going to show you an example of that. I just prepared a quick example. So for running total, what I need is basically, so this is my sales amount column. So I have different sales amounts here. So for first row, the total of this column is going to be 5,000. For my second row, the total of this column is going to be, should be 9,500. That is running total, right? And then for my third row, it's going to add up all these. What is this? 9,800, and it's going to put that total over here. Similarly, fifth row, sixth row, seventh row, it's going to add up everything and it's going to put it here. That's running total, right? Let's go ahead and see how we can build this. Alright, so I'm going to use this function called sum, right? Basic sum function. So put your output column inside the sum function, over clause, right? Obviously, and then put your order by. Again, I'm going to order by my sales reason key, and then here I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to say rows between, right, unbounded preceding, right, preceding, right. I can even say this, I can just say rows unbounded preceding, and I'll show you different options as well, right? So now I'll take my first row, right, and then output it here because there is no other rows preceding it. Take the second row, and then there is one row is above that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sum it up, right? Sum the sales amount. So sum these two rows, right? Then go to the third row, unbounded preceding again. So add up everything. So this is gonna give me the running total, right? So 5,000 becomes 5,000, 4,500. At this point, all that the SQL engine is gonna see is this small window here, which is basically your rows 1 and 2, right? So what is the sum of that sum of sales amount for that given window? So 9,500. It goes to the next one. Again, unbounded preceding. What is the sum of sales of that specific window, right? First 3 rows. So 9,800. Likewise, it goes to the fourth row. What is that sum for that specific window? Unbounded preceding. So everything is getting added up and giving you the result, right? I can just say rows unbounded preceding. If you wanted to put following, now becomes a trick. I'll show you. So I can say rows between unbounded preceding and current row. If I say that, in fact, you know what, let's put this, sorry guys, I'm just gonna create another column. I'm gonna show you guys the difference. This is the right value what we have here, this is right results what we have here. I'm gonna create another one. Let's just say test, right? Running total test. In this one I'm going to say order by sales reason key, rows between, right? But since there's going to be preceding and following, you have to put your between clause. Unbounded preceding and current row, right? So if I say that, it's going to give me exact same result. Why? Because I'm only limiting it. So I'm going to limit everything. The preceding is everything, but I'm going to limit it to only look into the current row. Do not see anything further. Just look into my current row. If number 4 is my current row that's in execution, so unbounded preceding, look everything behind that, but then do not look anything further. Just look into my current row only, right? Clean enough. It's gonna give me the same result basically. What's going on? Okay, I put a comma here. Okay, so let's execute it. You see, same result, right? So running total test is going to be the same result because the execution is not looking anything further, right? But you can really customize this. You can actually play around with this. Like for example, you can say, if you say one preceding, right? Now it's going to give you total of only the previous neighbor, right? So it goes to the first row, it's going to put 5,000 here. Goes to the second row, it's going to put 9,500 because it's only one preceding. It's going to go to third row, right? At this point, it's only going to put how much? 9,800 because only it's 4,800 because it's only going to total add these two guys, 4,500 and the current row, because that's what is in scope, right? So it's going to put 4,500 here. I'm going to show you. 4,800, right? Sorry. And then it goes to the, likewise it goes to the fourth row, right? One preceding, so it's going to add up 300 and 500 and put 800. It's going to go to the fifth row, one preceding again, 500,000, 1,500, right? And then you can again, customize your window function, something like this also. You can put like, you can put one preceding and one following. I haven't seen any use case for this, but so now let's see what's going to happen. Before I'm going to execute, I'm going to explain what's going to happen, right? So here, see here, one preceding, right? So let's say I'm in my row number 4. One preceding is, it's going to take the previous row, right? Some sales amount, it's going to add up 300 and 500. I have 800 right now. I also have one following, so it's also going to take 1,000, right? So I'm going to get a output of 1,800 in this row, right? And it's going to do the same thing for my next row also, right? So 1,000, one preceding, so it's going to take this row, 1,500 and then one following, so 150. So 1,500 plus 150, so 1,650 is going to be here, right? So 1,800 we have in your row number 4 and 1,650 in row number 5. Let's see if that works. See, exactly, that's the thing, right? 1,800 and 1,650. So that's exactly how you can do your running total, and you can play around with your in your window functions. Next, I'm going to show you guys the running average, right? So running average is not a big deal. Just say I'm just going to take this comment out this row, and then copy this whole code, right? And then say average, right? And that's it. You're gonna get running average. All right, so execute it. So running average, right? So window is only for the current scope. It's only gonna look into the preceding window. There is nothing given for the following, so it's gonna only look into the preceding window. So 5,000 becomes 5,000, 4,500 unbounded preceding. So it's gonna add 5,000 plus 4,500 divided by 2, right? Because it's average. 4,750. It's gonna go to the third row. The sales amount is 300, unbounded preceding. So it's going to add up everything. So it becomes 9,800 if you add all these three, and then 9,800 divided by 3 becomes this value, right? So that's what's going to happen all the way across, right? So that's your running average. Give it a try. Get your SQL Server, get your AdventureWorks database, give it a try with all these different functions, and let me know if you have any questions. Also, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, and only then you'll get notifications of whatever videos is gonna come up from this channel. And hit the like button as well if you like this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.